homicide or attempted homicide on the rise in the recent past, so have the indelible scars left among friends and relatives of those whose lives were cut short prematurely and in a cruel way. The cases have proven to cut across gender and age, with those left behind to look after the graves of their loved ones, having only to grasp at memories and fantasies of lives that were never to become. Our reporter David Muloka tells of the pain, tears, and struggles of those close to victims of homicide and attempted homicide, amid hope that time is the master healer to wounds that throb so excruciatingly.
At Chaidhani village, hundreds of kilometers into the heart of Machakos County, Mama Elizabeth Maua Malombe is a woman in pain. It is more than a year since her firstborn daughter Joyce Yombua and her two grandchildren Shanice Maua and Prince Michael were ripped off from the face of the earth by the very hands that were meant to protect them. Each crack of dawn since, the cracks in Elizabeth Maua's heart have grown larger and seemingly irreparable. Her heavy heart, laden with grief, can bleed no more.
Angekuwa hai sahi kama Shanice Maua ndiye firstborn, ndio my first granddaughter, angekuwa standard 6 sahi. Juu ya corona sasa angekuwa 7. But juu ya vile kulikuja corona sahi angekuwa 6 akitarajia kwenda 7. Prince Michael naye alikuwa PP2. Na kama last year nimehangaika sana juu ya birthday sawa, huwa nilikuwa nawafanyia birthday kila wakati.
The usual complaints of a missing sock or the clutter of utensils, preferably a cup or a plate, as her two grandchildren gobbled up their breakfast while getting ready for school, are long gone. Gone also are the playful giggles as the two came back home from school, anxious to describe to their grandmother how a pupil ate another pupil's lunch, or how a teacher reprimanded one of the pupils who did not do their homework. All that taken away in a spur of moment.
Nisi alikuwa ananiambia, grandma, wakati nitakuwa mkubwa mimi nataka nikuwe gynecologist. Nilikuwa namuuliza, kwa nini unataka kuwa gynecologist? Sababu gynecologist usaidia wamama wenye hawana watoto. So mimi nataka uwe na wahurumia sana. Nataka nikuwe gynecologist. Prince Michael naye alikuwa ananiambia, shosho, mimi nikikuwa mkubwa nitakuwa pilot. Hata nitakuwa nakubeba na ndege.
What's left are vivid memories of a house that was once full of life. Memories that Mama Elizabeth Maua has opted to keep alive through these tens of pictures of the two and their mother, all of whom had a full life to live ahead of them. Each picture worth more than 1,000 words.
Watu wakijapona kila kuchao ninapoangalia hizo picha, ninapoenda kuona hizi kaburi zao, machozi huwa inanitoka. Sababu kama wangekuwa ningekuwa mbali.
6 feet under lay the remains of the young family. For the past 1 year, Mama Elizabeth has made it a habit to take care of the graves that are the very agonizing reminder of what was taken from her. Even though it constantly feels like scratching a sore wound, she will not let a speck of dust blur her connection with her own blood. According to Elizabeth, what began as a search mission for the three in November 2019, after they had left to spend the weekend in Nanyuki with Siombua's ex-boyfriend and father to Shanice and Prince Michael, KDF officer Major Peter Mugure took a turn for the worst when the bodies of the three were found stacked on each other at a shallow grave in the same area a week later.
Joyce aliweza kunipigia simu tarehe 24 ya mwezi wa 10 2019. Akaniambia Peter ambaye ndiye baba ya watoto wake amemwalika Nanyuki wakafanya birthday ya mtoto mkubwa Shanice Maua. Alikuwa na turn 11 years. Aliweza kwenda na akaniambia anaenda 24th, atakuja Sunday ya 27th.
Siombua's body, who was 31 years old at the time, bore hit marks on the head. According to government pathologist Johansen Oduor, the mother of two died from injuries on her head and brain inflicted by a blunt object. 10-year-old Shanice and 5-year-old Prince, on the other hand, had marks on their necks, which according to Oduor, resulted from strangulation with a rope. Mugure was arrested as the prime suspect following the horrific murders, alongside Collins Pamba, who is said to have aided Mugure in burying the three bodies. 1 year on, the criminal case is yet to make substantive ground.
Chenye naweza kuwaomba tu kama serikali, mimi kama mwananchi wa kawaida, mimi ni mama mjane. Huyo msichana ndiye alikuwa tegemeo langu. Waangalie tu haki itendeke kama vile za wale wengine hutendeka.
Just like the Siombua case, another case involving police officer Dan Matakaya's ex-wife, who poured sulfuric acid on the officer's face, nearly electrocuted him and left him for the dead, is still lurking within the corridors of justice. On the fateful dawn of 21st September 2013, Matakaya, who was based in Kisii, had just completed his night patrol when he got into bed at his house at the Kisii police line. Everything seemed usual. His wife appeared fast asleep next to him, but just as Matakaya was slipping into slumber, a life-changing ordeal happened to him.
She woke up and poured a solution on my face, which was sulfuric acid. So it started burning. So I woke up in that confusion. I decided to come out of the bed to try and get some water to dissolve the burns. But when I stepped on the floor, I felt a shock. She had even gone further and connected electricity, the heater, and poured water on the floor.
The burns from the acid have now totally deformed his face, ripping off the youthfulness that his face once bore and rendering him partially blind. But the scars on his face, neck and hands only tell a part of what will be his lonely and lengthy journey to recovery.
My prayer was for the restoration of my sight. But let me tell you, when the doctor came and told me that, oh Dan, we are sorry, you won't see again. You know, that statement, ilinimaliza.
For both Elizabeth and Dan, fears that justice might not be ultimately served are rife. For Elizabeth, however, no form of conviction could bring back those she prematurely lost, while Dan insists his odd life simply is out of reach. Both have resolved to take a day at a time, hoping that they will pull through to the next day, stronger and capable of at least confronting their inner battles. David Muthoka, TV 47.